So perfect. All right. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining. আমাদের আজকে রাতে we start the webinar at 10. So keeping the mind যে সবাই will join. And today we have Tariq Habib, solution architect from Amazon Web Services. Last time we had best practice on AWS, and it was very popular to the people, and many people joined. এবং তারপর থেকে আমরা চিন্তা করছি যে why not we have something a new topic. So we were discussing about the VDI solution on AWS, and thought like it's a good time during the log time. People are using the VDI solution, AWS and other areas. So that's the reason why we have Tariq Habib on board. And welcome, Tariq. It's now your turn to have the presentation. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Nashin Bhai. Hello, everyone. Nashin Bhai, thank you for the intro. So yeah, I'm a solutions architect at Amazon Web Services for some time. So as a solutions architect, আমাদের main যে sort of job objective যেটা থাকে সেটা হচ্ছে যে to help our customers to sort of come up with the optimum architecture and optimum solution যে কোনো একটা প্রজেক্টের জন্য, because Amazon almost total, I think at this point 175 different services আছে. তো এটার সবগুলোর ভিতরে it's not necessarily যে কোনো একটা কোম্পানিকে সবগুলো 175 গুলো জানতে হবে. So that's mainly where we come in as a solutions architect to know which one to pick, which is the right solution, which is the right service to do. And one of the things for that is because some of these services are very core service, something like EC2, database, RDS, যেগুলো, you use it, you are in full control, and then you do your thing. Versus different kinds of other services, these are more managed. I mean, in both cases, AWS পিছনের backend manage করছে, but additionally on top of that, managed solution গুলো যেটা হচ্ছে যে AWS does a lot of more heavy lifting for you. So এরকমই কিছু solution আজকে আমরা কথা বলবো, যেগুলো হচ্ছে remote work আর VDI solutions. So VDI solutions are, so VDI stands for virtual desktop interface. It's mainly, put it short and simply, হচ্ছে a full-fledged desktop delivered to you through just a URL. So, কোনো question ছিল? Hello?
No, it's okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's what the main idea of VDI solution is. তো এটা নিয়ে কথা বলবো। তো just a little bit of background, সেটা আমরা কোথা থেকে বলছি সেটা হচ্ছে যে and some of the statistics are a little bit outdated, so it actually increased গত কয়েক বছরে as well. So just the United States statistics, which are 43% United States employed বিভিন্ন sector, all around the sector, they work remotely at some point. And it is becoming a lot more essential part of the day-to-day work. There are statistics that shows যে some people are more productive যখন তারা নিজের বাসায় কাজ করছে. It's not necessarily যে you have to be in your office all the time. So things are changing, and one of the big, especially over the past couple of months, we are getting ready to drastically সেটা আরো change হবে. So traditional office যে environment সেটা সবসময় suitable not for all the types of industry that we work on as well, especially on the tech side. And also it comes with, one of the challenging is to finding a solution to বাসায় কাজ করলেও what are the most secure and most importantly cost-effective way to do that as well. But yes, on top of that, right now one of the big thing is that the COVID-19 pandemic যেটা চলছে, সেটার জন্য all around the world আমাদের এখন একটা there is a shift happening যে আমরা কিভাবে কাজ করব, কিভাবে কাজ করতে চাই, এখন বাসা থেকে কাজ করতে হবে, but that it has several challenges that comes with it. One of them, of course, having that solution, but on top of that, having it cost effective, and then also making it secure is a big part of it as well. So one of the things is that the customers are telling us. So, and just a little bit of background, AWS কিন্তু এই যে 175 different services আছে, এটার almost 95% হচ্ছে customer driven, meaning that based on customer feedbacks এই সার্ভিস গুলো রিলিজ হয়। So এই VDI solutions গুলো was one of them, যেটা হচ্ছে যে customers were making their VDI solutions themselves. So তখন based on that feedback AWS created that. So main concern যেগুলো ছিল যে people don't want to give, it's very costly যদি company কে always physical একটা device দিতে হচ্ছে, সেটার maintenance and all of that, and maintaining that workload, maintaining the what do you call it, the infrastructure, যে operating system যেগুলো আছে ওইসব physical devices সেগুলোর maintenance, the IT side of it, that's a nightmare a lot of the time. And then also mobile has been a big part over the past 10 years, but it's gaining more. It is able to, our mobile devices are able to do more work now. So mobile access, mobile email, mobile workload ta pawa, সেটাও একটা important thing that the customers are telling us. And most importantly, data security. All of that is sort of one of the core concerns a VDI solution a customer দের জন্য. And what are some of the things that are different for from an on-premise solution, যেটা আমরা VDI solution-এ যেটা হচ্ছে সেটা হচ্ছে যে on-premise solution-এ আমাদের যখন একটা sort of intranet তৈরি করতে হচ্ছে for the customers and for yourself, সেখানে অনেক upfront cost is involved. First of all, the devices যেগুলো আছে সেগুলোকে তৈরি করা, সেগুলোকে মেইনটেইন করা, নতুন কোনো এমপ্লয়ি যদি অ্যাড হয় তাকে মেইনটেইন করা, তাকে একটা ল্যাপটপ দিতে হলে বিভিন্ন ধরনের, there's several steps that needs to happen, and that can take from a couple of weeks to could be a month, and that's lost time because that employee, he's on a payroll, so he's getting paid, but he's not able to get up and do his thing. So and then also servers security, scaling is an option, is an issue because নতুন এমপ্লয়ি অ্যাড হচ্ছে, কোম্পানি ইজ গ্রোয়িং, বাট সেটার জন্য সেই অনুযায়ী স্কেল আপটা সবসময় টাইমলি ম্যানারে হচ্ছে না। সো those are loss of agility. So it's basically overall slowing down the company. And then on top of that, data security side of it, a big one is when you are giving physical devices to your employees, তারা সেটা বাসায় নিয়ে যাচ্ছে, there is in between transportation হচ্ছে. One of the things Bangladesh's perspective and all other যদি even USA though, during the transportation, if the device is stolen or lost, that's company data that are getting lost, that are company data that are getting stolen, and that is a big issue because I think so there was another survey that was done in 2018, and it shows that joto data loss prevention hoy, at least in the United States, 34% of that is because of stolen or lost physical devices. So travel korte hocche, plane উঠছে, প্লেনের থেকে নামার সময় ল্যাপটপ রেখে চলে আসছে, or লাউঞ্জে বসে কাজ করছিল, ল্যাপটপ রেখে চলে আসছে, or চুরি হয়ে গেছে, things like that. And that is, as I mentioned, like proprietary company data stolen. Especially it is more important in in our tech side because a lot of these guys who are doing the work, they're coding, so there's actually legitimate code involved that are getting stolen. So that, which is like the core, that could be the core of the business. So just making that security, that is a big challenge that the customers are trying to overcome. So সেখান থেকে mainly the VDI solution aspect গুলো তৈরি হয়েছে. So আমরা এখানে Amazon, as I mentioned, there are several different types of VDI solutions. Workspace, AppStream, WorkDocs. These are more cloud, desktop, by application delivery, and also collaboration related application. And then Amazon Chime, which is a managed communication and collaboration. So phone calls, it's like Skype, Zoom, similar type of application. So you work together doing things like that. Virtual call center, this is a very, very recent um, service that Amazon has announced. এটা এই বছরে অ্যানাউন্স হয়েছে এবং it's been a project that's been going on for years. Internally, Amazon is trying to make it up to the standard for the customer. I'll talk briefly about virtual call center, but this is a very powerful service data, specifically within the situation that are going on right now. Everyone needs to work from home, and also getting a call center up and running just like within a couple of clicks. So that kind of capability, the customers are finding it hugely beneficial, and it's all around the industry. So healthcare, education, regular office, all of that. And then we also have VPN connection. Of course, you have to have that to have the secure connection between the end users, and then in the infrastructure on the AWS and on premise. So there's both options. But আজকে আমরা mainly focus করব workspace app stream or work docs নিয়ে, আর আমি briefly virtual call center নিয়ে একটু কথা বলবো. So first, so the first core end user computing solution, these are workspace, work docs, and AppStream. So very briefly, সেটা হচ্ছে workspace হচ্ছে fully managed virtual desktop versus AppStream. So there is a slight difference between those two. They're both managed VDI solution for you, but workspace যেটা আপনাকে দিবে সেটা হচ্ছে a fully fledged, you're going to be in 100% in control of it, desktop connection or a desktop over the internet, versus AppStream হচ্ছে it's more managed application delivered to you. Both are available through a web browser, so just simple web URL দিয়ে আপনি কানেক্ট করবেন এবং but usage কিছু difference আছে যেটা আমরা একটু পরে দেখব. So one other couple of the other extra the benefits of having a VDI solution is, first of all, one of the challenges that we talked about, a huge upfront cost. That's not there anymore. So it's everything is there are some free tiers, but also pay as you go, meaning that you're literally paying for যতটুকু দরকার, whatever hours you want to use, whatever number of people you want to use, just use it. Once you're done, you stop it, and you're not paying for it anymore. So it makes it easy to get started, because at a project like this, creating a VDI solution, it tends to be a massive undertaking, just because the migrations involved and all of that, and that migration involved hardware, that investment যাচ্ছে, and those are huge investments. And more often than not, দেখা যায় যে in our research, what Amazon sees, that's one of the biggest hurdles to start a VDI solution. Yeah, just because of the massive amount of upfront cost that needs to happen. Whereas when you have VDI solutions through AWS, it's just pay as you go. You literally can start one instance or একটা check করে, see if that works. If that works, then you scale up. That's it. If it doesn't work for you, or if you're not seeing the result that you're looking for, then at that point you're not paying for it anymore. You're stopping the work. Scalability, as I mentioned, as a part of it, and then we already talked about the security part before. All of these are available to you within a couple of clicks. But so workspace. So the idea for workspace is, as I mentioned, that it is what happened? There we go. It is a fully managed, fully effective, fully managed desktop as a service idea. That is, so it's desktop over the internet delivered to you. So what is the idea of desktop as a solution? Meaning that you can literally, when you need a desktop to do your work, you can sort of provide that, codify it, meaning that within a couple of API calls, you have the resources available to you within a minute. It's, as I mentioned, secure, it's highly available. It is very scalable as well, meaning that you're not tied to one machine. What I mean by that is based on the type of work that you're doing or need to be done. It could be just general purpose work, but high compute intensive or GPU related works or things like that. You don't have to worry about the hardware limitations anymore, hardware specification anymore. Um, if you need to move to a more powerful machine, you can do that. If you need to add more people to your organization, you can do that, and you can do that within a couple of clicks. Um, and that's it. The idea of that came from a couple of what we call a PC lifecycle treadmill. Is that you start a PC, you bought a physical device. Within 2 to 4 years, 4 years is very much stressing it, but within 2 to 4 years, that hardware needs to be refreshed. There are some limitations, or not limitations, added cost that can happen if you're giving physical devices to giving it out to whether if it's for students or whether for employees. There are limitations to it, as I mentioned, that things can get lost. Also, when they're working, things can break. It's hard to it is hard to maintain the operating system when a physical device bar bear হয়ে যাচ্ছে. So if you meaning that if you need to do a patch, if you need to do any kind of update, they need to bring the device back to IT, get that changed out. So it makes it very decentralized, and also makes life of IT people much harder. কারণ কোনো computer probably there's a virus. Now you need to maintain that as well. Proper centralized কোনো security control করার মতো কোনো way নাই. So these are some of the huge limitations that physical devices sees. And that sort of comes down to in the life cycle that you need to refresh the hardware. You need to refresh the hardware, whatever devices that you want to use, and then also support your self-service. But as I mentioned, you are able to quickly scale up or scale down. So what you're doing here is sort of moving into an OpEx model. OpEx model means operation expenditure model. Instead of just doing that upfront investments. So what are some of the features for Workspace? So I already talked about, it's a pay as you go. You're scaling up, scaling down as you need it. There are several features. I'll talk about the features in a minute, but that helps you to save cost if the people are not using it. But also for any kind of workload, যদি 24/7, if the system needs to run, you can set that up as well. It's very secure because the data can be encrypted at rest and also as you're using it. So it's fully integrated with KMS. So AWS Active Service, it's called Key Management Service. So this is mainly your for all the different services that you use. If those are encryption enabled, if you want to manage the key, or if you want AWS to manage the key, then you use KMS to manage that. There are some other security features as well, because including the network control. If you want to set up a firewall inside the desktop, you have that as well. And the main reason IT team loves Workspace is just very simple and simple to deploy and manage. So the first thing that Workspace is doing is it gives a very centralized way to manage the applications, making changes, whether it's an application update or operating system patch, any kind of security updates that you need to push in. So the users, they don't need to bring the device anymore. যখনই কোনো ধরনের আপডেট চেঞ্জ পুশ করতে হবে, the IT team, the system administrator, they can just push it through Workspace directly, and that gets updated on the Workspace in the backend. And also, it helps them to maintain a very one standard for all the machines. So if they need to make a change on the firewall, if they need to make a change on any of the application, as I mentioned, or add new application, all of that they can do it literally through a console with clicks, or they can automate it too. So they don't necessarily need to do that just হাতে প্রত্যেকটা machine একটা করে. Because everything in AWS is an API call, so API call kore all of those tasks can be automated. So they have options to do that as well. So what are some of the use cases for Amazon Workspace? Well, before I go that, I just want to give you a little bit of this is not in the what we call it. It's not in the slide, but just a general workflow for Workspace. যেটা হচ্ছে যে how is, when you from start to finish, when you want to launch everything in Workspace, how does that work? So in the beginning, it's very straightforward. You start it, you're gonna deploy your workspace inside what we call a VPC. So VPC stands for Virtual Private Cloud. Anything you are gonna be launching in AWS, you launch it inside a VPC. Just it's ব্যাপারটা exactly the same as on-premise যখন data center থাকে. So when you want to start any of the servers or anything like that, you always need to do that inside a network, and that's the idea here as well. So you create your own VPC. You're in full control over it. Inside the VPC, just like on-premise, you're creating separate subnets, private and public. So Workspace requires at least 2 subnets in 2 availability zones. So we're going to create that, and then we just start up a machine, the first virtual desktop. So once that is done, so this is our initial Workspace desktop. You make that, and then inside that one, it's basically just a desktop with what we call it. It could be Linux or Microsoft Windows Server. I'm sorry, Windows Server and Windows 10. So both of them. So yeah, you select your operating system, you start it up. So this is going to be your initial, what we call an initial image. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a custom bundle image from this image. So basically installing any of the programs, any of the permission that needs to be done, patches, all of that for the employees. We're going to create a custom bundle image. So bundle image, pretty much as I mentioned, it's a whole package. It's with the application, with the operating system, সবকিছু একসাথে মিলায়. So we create that custom bundle, and then next time for additional workspaces, instead of a generalized operating system, you're just going to when a user spins up and a virtual desktop, is just going to use that particular custom bundle and spin up a new system. That's it. Now, what that enables you to do is just have a very sort of grouping of different teams. So what software they need. So a development team, J software gulo need proyojon. Not necessarily it's the case J business side of the team will need those applications. So what you do is you just create two different custom bundle image, and you can group them, you can tag them separately, and with grouping and tagging, that you can automate কোন custom image run হবে for which user. Because, and I'll talk about that in a minute, all these services, if you have an Active Directory running for like single sign-on but LDAP signing এর জন্য, these are fully integrated with both of these services, meaning that if in that case you will know that the person signing in, which team is he in, which group is he belongs to, and based on that you just spin up that particular image. So you can automate that part as well, and that's it. And then once it's running, and then furthermore, if you need to make any changes, you can set a maintenance window of কখন কোনো ধরনের Windows patch বা Windows update push হবে. If you need to make any changes on the application, add, remove, or update applications, there is an application manager for Workspace. That application manager, with that, the IT team will basically push all those changes to them. So it just helps. And then not only that, since, as I mentioned, everything is an API call, one thing it does is all these works that the employees are doing, or all these activity, these are so all everything is are pushed through API calls. It just makes it easier for the sysadmin to even track what work is getting done, what services are getting used, কখন ব্যবহার হচ্ছে, user কখন log in করছে, কখন log out করছে, things like that, activity. So you can monitor all of that just through API calls, because those APIs calls are getting reported. So using CloudWatch and CloudTrail, you can see those matrices exactly, down to a very granular, each user কখন কিভাবে timestamp অনুযায়ী. So you have that idea as well. So that's pretty much the sort of the very high level overview of how Amazon Workspace workflow goes. So as I mentioned, what are a couple of the use cases? It's pretty much any industry that you can think of, because Workspace, when you're selecting an instance, to which instance to spin up, it's not just one general different hardware spec. So we have, I think right now there are 7 different instance classes that you can, it is 7 different instance classes for, if it's a compute heavy workload, it could be just a general purpose, or we have another, I think a cheaper option, it's called just basic. So if you want to just do a proof of concept in the beginning, just start with the basic, see how that works, and then move. And then general purpose, it's for regular usage. And then compute heavy, or high throughput IOPS, that kind of instances, those are important for, and if you're running a database behind it, which requires very high IOPS, so you can use those. A big big use cases that we're seeing is the graphic instance families, because usually a high-end graphic, high-end GPU powered physical server, device, usually it's very expensive. Whereas, and on top of that, it's not just expensive, and on top of that, you're adding all those maintenance costs to it. So whereas these are available to you, super high-end GPU instances that you can do for your any GPU type of workload, just use it, run it. When you're done, you're not worrying about anything else. So there's a variety of different instance types for different types of workloads. So using that, we're supporting all kinds of mobile workers that are, either traveling all the time, or they need to go to the customer site. Customer site বারবার যেতে হচ্ছে, সেখানে সবসময় physical device সব জায়গায় নিয়ে যাওয়া হয়তো সম্ভব হচ্ছে না, things like that. For those kind of people, global organizations, we're seeing a huge spike এখন because of the COVID-19. আমি personally যখন কাজ করি school, universityর সাথে, এবং local state government-এর সাথে, that's a big one for them as well. So that some of the other use cases are the project-based works. So contractors, or you're doing a training. Usually even for them, you're buying a full-fledged machine, because you need to give them access, and that's a huge upfront cost for just a temporary work. But whereas right now, you just spin up a new instance for them, give them access for a certain amount of time, whatever that is. Once they're done, you tear down that instance, and you're not paying for it anymore. That's it. It doesn't get any more simpler than that. And then what are some of the use cases is, from bring your own device perspective, one of the biggest helpful idea on that is, you're also not worried about, yes, employees or users, they are bringing their own device, but you're not concerned about that hardware specification of that particular device, because it's not important. You're getting the connection through, or getting access with the desktop through just an HTTPS protocol. That's it. So nothing, your current machine specs, it's not important. It can be a Chromebook, it can be an iPhone, it can be an Android phone, it can be just any regular any operating system that you're running, as long as it runs, you should be good to go. So as long as you're running, there are clients that you can install, but as long as you have a Chrome or Safari, Firefox, uh, Explorer Edge, Explorer Edge also works. So as long as you have any of those, you're good to go. Okay. So on top of that, some of the existing tools that are working, these are just some added tools that you can use with your workspace. So Active Directory. So Active Directory, the idea for that is, as I mentioned, your LDAP or single sign-on. It's fully integrated. It can be on-premise or it can be on AWS. Both works. You start that on, and it's good to go. You can connect a workspace there with the workspace that you're spinning up. That you can integrate that using VPC peering with your existing intranet. So আপনাদের যদি for a company specific intranet থাকে, you can set that up with you can integrate that with your workspace environment. Multiple factor authentication. So this is mainly for just an added layer of security. So with your phone, and you can Google Authenticator, just SMS text. Those are a couple of the options to make sure that the user is legit, and just as I mentioned, it's just an added layer of security. And then the certificate authority. So these are some of the ones for SSL certifications or some added certifications. You can maintain all of that through Workspace as well. So security improvement, the big one is, so first of all, it's if you want to set it up in a way যে user যখন workspace ব্যবহার করবে, you can set up a restriction so that they cannot download anything from your running workspace to their local machine. And that way you can control যে কোনো company data, কোনো sensitive data user device থাকবে না. That's it. And you're in full control over it. If there is some workload that are non-sensitive, you can enable that. But most of the cases what we see is you turn it off, so user can do their work, copy paste all of them, but they cannot download any work or take screenshots or anything like that. You can disable all of that. And it just helps with that security of data security for any kind of stolen property or any kind of one of the other things that we see is these kind of works people are doing, but they save the work in their local machine, মানে নিজেদের ল্যাপটপে কাজ করতে করতে সেভ করছে, and then maybe he's a temporary worker, maybe he's a contractor, or maybe left the company or things like that. It's hard to keep track of if everything was clean from their laptop. There's really not a very easy proper way to do that. But this will help you from that as well. As I mentioned before, so Workspace, it's dead encryption at rest, meaning that you can encrypt the entire volumes that are attached to these workspaces, and then also in transit as well. So excuse me, it is I think so you can enable AES 256-bit encryption. That's the industry standard encryption that for in transit work. So it's just one after another added layers of security. And then on top of that, since it's inside a VPC, you have control over how they are reacting, because in VPC you have security groups and access control list to maintain that traffic control as well, meaning that where the traffic is coming from exactly, IP address range, any kind of, if they're part of an intranet, maintaining the access for that. So you have that level of access from a network perspective as well. These are some of the compliances that are Workspace is compliant about, specifically for PCI, PII for the credit card users, HIPAA for healthcare workers. and then EU general data protection is compatible with that as well. Billing options. So there are two main options. One is monthly. So this is basically what is referred as always on, meaning that it's running 24/7 all the time, and you're paying a flat fee for the usage. These are so these are workloads, good for workloads. You're running a processing, batch processing, constantly running. It's good for that. But one of the other options is also hourly, meaning that you use whenever you're using on an hour basis. Once you're done, you're done. This is a very popular one, যেটা student আর ইউনিভার্সিটি ইউজার্সের মধ্যে অনেকই পপুলার, কারণ they don't need access to a powerful machine 24/7 all the time. And so just having, you can set up a session timer as well, meaning that tara login korar 1 hour, 2 hour, or whatever time you want to set, that's their entire session. So you can set that up. You can also set what we call an auto stop. That's basically idle stop. So once, if it sees that the system's been idle for the set time that you do, could be hour, could be half hour, 15 minutes, it will turn off the workspace, and basically you're not paying for that anymore. So those are the two options. So with the workspace, one service that I wanted to include here is called WorkDocs. So WorkDocs it's a fully managed, scalable collaboration and file management system for you. So it's basically the users, if they need to collaborate with a project, if they need to collaborate with a file that they're working, everyone is working together, সেটার জন্য আর কি mainly WorkDocs. So collaboration and sharing is first one. Whatever work they're doing, they can save it. There's different version options for it. So any of the changes that are getting made, there's a version for it. And there's full timestamp who made the change when. These are controlled by who do you want to share with, and also what level of access do you want to give them, contributor, edit, or just view. It's available from web and mobile access, both of them. And one thing, as I mentioned before, that it is the versioning, it is unlimited. So there is no you have only first 3 versions or first 5 versions. You can have as many versions as you want. It's available in immediate available documentation, and it just works good with single sign-ons, connection for your LDAP. So it's fully integrated on that as well. So you can turn on single sign-on for WorkDocs. So it works it can work hand to hand with Workspace. And one of the things that also does is, so for each user in Workspace, they get 50 gigabytes of storage in Workspace for every user. And you can upgrade it to 1 terabyte per user, $2 a month. So moving from that, what I'm gonna turn into is AppStream. So Workspace was very much managed. A lot of things were managed for you. But it is still giving the users, a full-fledged desktop, fully customizable, that they can control. So they have that's the need. But on top of that, AppStream, this is even more managed. So a lot of pretty much in AppStream, all you are focusing on is, or the users will focus on, is just running the application, doing the work, and that's it. Nothing else is important. Like everything else is taken care for you. So AppStream, it is a fully managed app streaming service. So the wording difference here is Workspace, it's a desktop as a service. So you are getting a full-fledged desktop, whereas AppStream, this is mainly an application streaming service. So instead of having a desktop, you're mainly, the most common use cases, you just get a list of the applications that you want to use or you're going to be using. That's it. Everything else, as I mentioned, it is managed for you in the back end. So You're creating that, same thing. Scalability is there. You can add users. You can maintain the versions. So all of that is in your control. But yeah, so the security updates, everything else is managed for you. So AppStream actually, when it comes to school, university, temporary contract workers. For them, this one is a very popular one, just because the nature of the control that it gives the sysadmin, and um, from a price perspective as well. Um, so same thing, feature wise as well. It is scalable globally. It is pay as you go, same as Workspace. There's an upfront cost. You spin up, you use it, and if you're not using it, you turn it off. You're not paying for it anymore. Infrastructure management, there is no more infrastructure management. Everything is set up for you. All you are doing is specifying কতটুকু scale up হবে, কতটুকু instance add হবে, things like that. And I'll talk about the added features in a minute. But yeah, all you're focusing on is installing the applications you need, and that's it. Security, same thing. It has data on transit and then data at rest security using KMS. And yeah, so for one of the things that it allows you to do is if you're migrating an application, especially during COVID-19 right now, things needs to move very fast without, and you need to transfer the works at a very short time for a huge amount of people. So an AppStream can be very helpful for that, because the way AppStream works is, so we talked about Workspace, it's centralized. AppStream gives you even more centralized way to maintain the application, because going on the workflow of how that works is, so initially on AppStream, when you're trying to set up your environment, the first thing you do is you spin up one of the instance, and same as Workspace. There are several instance families for different kinds of workloads: general purpose, GPU, high throughput, high IOPS, or compute optimized. But based on what the workload is, you select that. But the first thing you'll do is you select an image builder. So image builder কাজ হচ্ছে mainly to create an image, to build an image. So in image builder, you select the application. You select what operating system do you want to use. You're going to select, and then it spins up just a normal desktop environment. So desktop environment, now basically what you need to do is install the applications that you want to, that the user will need. Creating groups for which users, which application groups that the user will have. Installation process, it's exactly same as installing it in any Windows operating system. So you download the application installer, click it. It's exactly the same. So install all of that, and then you get to select what is the default version of that application will be. Meaning that when any users are spinning it up, তার home directory কি হবে, তার the first default template কি হবে, সবকিছু. You select all of that. So and then you're basically finalizing an image builder. And after that, what you need to do is create a fleet. So a fleet is mainly that's your entire collection of your AppStream. So for the user, so if you have 10 users, you are going to create a fleet for 10, maximum of 10 instances, meaning that at once your infrastructure can scale up to 10. That's it. After 10, it's not going to be able to scale up anymore. So when you have an 11th user added to your team, all you do is change that fleet number from maximum 10 to 11. That's it. Everything else stays the same. You don't need to do anything else. And I was talking about like having a centralized way to do it, manage it. So when you're creating an image builder, So what the image builder does is, and prothom talk we talked about snapshots, EDS snapshots. So snapshots are, these are just block storage, and it just takes a snapshot of it. So that snapshot includes the operating system, everything, the whole package of the applications that you installed, the default template, all of that. And it's just whenever a new user wants to join, it just uses that snapshot and just spins up an instance. That's it. So adding or removing a user, it's very simple. And also it's very centralized, because now all the users have exact same version, and the updates and the patches, all of that, that the system administrator decided what they want to have. So the system administrator is in control the whole time. So they don't have to worry about getting, how to push the update, by getting a virus or কোনো problem হয়েছে computer, or that, and this goes for workspace as well. They don't have to worry about, oh no, বাসায় কম্পিউটারের উপরে পানি পড়ে গেছে or something like that. I'm just giving an example. So these are not their worry anymore. So it gives them a very centralized way to control these applications. And when you need to make a change, when you need to make an update, those are done through the image builder. You just rebuild the image builder snapshot, just rebuild it. It pushes it again. The next time they spin it up, that's it. So, and then on top of that, the Active Directory integration is still there. It's still available to you. Yeah, so these are some of the main benefits of AppStream. So you just mainly focusing on running the application, doing the work. You do the work, you're done. You turn it off. You're not paying for it anymore. And then the pricing point for these are also the same. But before that, I just want to quickly talk about some of the use cases, I guess. So same thing, as I mentioned, public sector, well, in government public sector, school, universities are a big one right now. One of the, we call it ISV. So ISV workloads are, independent software vendor, meaning that any application that you're running, locally, যে কোনো কম্পিউটারের জন্য, you can run that in AppStream, because the installation process and the running process is exactly the same. So, and you can do it without any rewrite, meaning that the migration process is very simplified. So to give you an idea, you can get a fully fledged application up and running within 2 to 3 hours. It's just about setting up the image builder. So once the image builder is good to go, adding more users is not a problem anymore. So yeah, that's all. Yeah, the instance families. So mainly the instance families, যেটা বলছিলাম যে there are several instance families that you can use based on whatever type of workload you have. So whenever a new session is getting spin up, there's a new instance that gets added. And so, as I mentioned, so these are your general purpose workloads, just regular knowledge worker apps, so Microsoft, Office, Outlook, Excel, things like that, or any kind of general workloads. Compute optimized. So these are mainly for processor oriented, high processing power needed. For that, you can use compute optimized. Memory optimized. These are the ones for I was talking about. So if you're running a data lake or data warehouse, any kind of workloads for that requires a very fast IOP, throughputs IOPS. So for that, memory optimized is going to be the best. And then finally, graphics optimized. So graphics optimized would be for your GPU workload. So if you want to run AutoCAD, Adobe, any of the Adobe suites, Maya, or any kind of 3D rendering workload. So for things like that, so which, as I mentioned again, like those can get very expensive if you want to, if you need to worry about the physical devices. But you can have, you can run a 3D rendering workload within a couple of minutes with AppStream and Workspace. So these are just a little bit of idea for the graphic instance families. So we have some pricing model ideas, and then what are some of the libraries that are supported. If you want to know more about any of them, let me know. আমি কিছু documentation পাঠিয়ে দিতে পারবো. But yeah, this just gives you an idea of like what are some of the GPU vendors here are here available to us as well. So yeah, so to give you an idea, so the Graphics Pro, you can have up to, say, it has an NVIDIA graphics card. So the memory, so CPU can, vCPU can go up to 64. So 64 vCPUs, and then almost half a terabytes of memory. So it can go, and then the GPU memory could be 32 gigabytes. So it can take some, it can take some punch. Some high-level deployment considerations. I just want to quickly get over it. Go over it. It's so deciding the user segmentation. So this is the one that I was talking about. It's like having a proper group for each of the team. So your development team, your account team, your the regular any kind of general purpose workload team. For any of them, just having that segmentation, and then having for each of them, whether you're using a workspace or whether you're using AppStream, having a proper custom image bundle, and then having a proper image builder, which will separate the applications that they're using. So going through that and doing that initial planning. So selecting a use case, selecting the planning of what they need, and then giving them exactly only what they need. It just makes it easier for them because they it's more focused. And then also it's just more cost effective from a team from a company perspective as well. Same thing here, evaluating the performance characteristics. So in both of these, all of these services, after you have access to pretty much all the matrices, the API call logs, the flow logs, the traffic flow logs. Use them and do some performance evaluation in the beginning, and which we rolls into the second part of it is building a pilot solution. So the free tier is available. So AppStream supports 40 hours a month for free tier, I think. So try it out, see if it works, see it makes sense. It's pay as you go, so you don't have to make an upfront commitment, and it's not, you shouldn't, is because you want to see that if the solution works for you. You shouldn't get into a long-term licensing or anything like that without trying it out. But well, so try a pilot solution, see if that works, and then you can roll it out slowly. One of the things is, since everything is a pay-as-you-go, you can roll out these solutions in a very small scale. Just have 2 people, 3 people try it out. So in AppStream, just have a small fleet running. In Workspace, have a couple of workspace up and running, give them to a couple of users, get their feedback. So, and then reiterate, deploy that, reiterate, see if that makes sense. So that's this should be the approach that you should be going on before jumping into it and seeing that it's not working for you. From a couple of technical perspective, so things you should turn on and things you should keep in mind. So first of all is logging. So as I mentioned, CloudTrail and CloudWatch. See the matrices, see the logging, tag your workload. So AWS say everything you can tag, literally every single resources and every single features that you turn on, you can tag them. And I highly encourage you to tag them, because it just helps you with, if you need to make a change, if you want to make like an automation for any of those works, if you want to check billing, for example. So if you have a proper tagging, you want to check exactly for that particular project how much you spent, you can see that with tagging. It just makes it so much more easier to narrow them down. And then turning on the configuration and the logging part of it. For Active Directory, I'll talk about Active Directory in a minute, but yes, Active Directory is available. It could be on-premise, it could be hosted in AWS. You have different options, and it's Microsoft Active Directory is fully integrated. Having that, turning on the what we call it, turning on the encryption. That is an important one as well. And then in general, having a proper VPN connection in place, things like that. So just keeping, adding those each and every layer. Also, we talked about, turning on the multiple factor authentication. Just each one of these adds one layer of security. Subnet designing. So from a network perspective, as I mentioned before, so when you launch a VPC, Amazon Workspace, that requires that you have two separate subnets and two different availability zones. Just to give you a little bit of idea, so very quickly, availability zones are, so in each region, every region, geographical location, so Bangladesher kache ache, India te ache, ebong Tokyo te Singapore ache. So for in those areas, in those regions, every region has a couple of availability zones. Our availability zone is just small group on clusters of data centers. So it's not one data center, there's multiple data centers. But the way it's designed it this way is because so that যদি কোনো একটা availability zone goes down, there's an earthquake or something, or whatever, something goes down, it doesn't affect the other availability zones. So the way they're separated is that they're in, geographically, there are different floodplain, they're in different, power supply, all of that is separated. So if one goes down, it doesn't affect the others. So that's one of the key features of, having a highly available infrastructure from a customer's perspective, is that when you're launching your infrastructure, you should launch it in at least two different availability zones, just separating them out. So same thing. So that's the concept here, and that's required for Workspace, is that in the VPC, when you're creating the subnets, you just have it in two different availability zones. AppStream doesn't force that, but this is still a very good practice that you should do. And sizing the subnets, having the subnets don't have to be public subnets, so you can have a proper NAT gateway in front of a private subnet so that they can have that, the traffic control, instead of having an open public subnet for the users. So you can do that, but size them, that's part of the pilot and reiterating the initial testing part of it. So you should try, keep those tips in mind. And also, when you're sizing the subnets, having a proper what we call IP range, setting the proper IP range, to sort of thinking about the capacity and the state of the subnet. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So the network interface. So in the subnets. So all of these. Hello. কোনো question ছিল?
No, it's okay. I just mute for one of the participants.
Okay. No, that's fine. So we can take the questions after we're gone through. I think I'm almost at the end anyway. Yeah. So yes, Elastic Network Interface, that's going to be a key part of when you're setting up for each of the subnets. So this is basically going to be, when you're connecting your on-premise workload or on-premise, any kind of, internet or Active Directory or anything like that with your VPC, ENI will come into play. It's just when you need to control the routing rule, the security groups, and in general access control lists, this is where ENI comes into play. So security groups, that's the way to control your traffics that were coming in. Is it coming from a particular subnet? Do you want the traffic to come in from a particular IP range, or any particular destination, any particular port? So you just control over that, control those each and every rule. So that's what the security group does. Access control list does the same thing, but the difference between this is security groups. These are stateless, meaning that when you're accessing grant for each one of the rules. So for example, if it's for one IP, you're accessing control for incoming and outgoing both, whereas access control list, it's stateless. So I'm sorry, it is stateful. So you can control a particular incoming and outgoing traffic. That's the idea. And then we also have with ENI, you also have control over the user, the routing for the file servers and the backend, the databases, anything that you're using. Also, if you have VPC that are paired with other VPCs, that's based on the workload. So all of that would be maintained through your Elastic Network Interface. So directory integration. So we've been talking about the Active Directory part of it as well. In both cases, Workspace and AppStream, you can have an Active Directory domain joined. And it can be, as I mentioned, that the Active Directory forest that can be in on-premise or hosted in AWS. Both are supported. So the way that you're going to be doing it, it's just mainly using a AD connector. You just use an AD connector and then connect your Active Directory. You can create your own Active Directory as well. You can use, Amazon has it, AWS has their own managed AD, so you can use that one as well. So some of the recommendations, if you have it is easier eventually if you move your Active Directory on AWS, because it just makes the integration part much more easier. So that's just could be a future project that you can look into, because several reasons. One is it's easier to integrate with other AWS services, plus আপনার authentication এর যে trafficটা যাচ্ছে, so trafficটা, it's not going through it's basically going through the backend connection of Amazon. So you're not worrying about getting that traffic exposed to anyone. So that's just same thing, adds another layer of security. So the cross-account VPC peering, so this is mainly for if you have multiple VPCs. So just establishing a trust between the VPCs, that's kind of an important one as well. VPC definition, or defining your VPCs between the Active Directory. These are some of the things that needs to get done before you actually have an infrastructure up and running. So it's just makes the traffic going smoother between different VPCs. And then availability. So Workspace and AppStream, WorkDocs, pretty much all of them, they are available all worldwide, globally. Closer to Bangladesh, Tokyo. I think that will be the closest region that supports both of those, both of these services, or all WorkDocs as well. And then any questions on these three before I move on? I just want to briefly talk about the Connect really quick before I end the presentation today.
কারো কোনো যদি কোশ্চেন থাকে, please feel free to ask. Just মাইকটাকে unmute করে you can ask. Okay, I guess Tariq, let's continue. We can ask them later on.
That sounds good. Yeah, so
একটা কোশ্চেন ছিল।
Sure.
ওই যে আপনি বলছিলেন যে অ্যাড স্ট্রিমের সময় যে গেটওয়ে ইউজ করেন, জিনিসটা বুঝি নাই। ওকে কি আমরা কি এমনি পাবলিকলি ইউজ করতে পারবো না? প্রাইভেট নেটওয়ার্ক কি লাগবে, এমন কি কোনো কিছু আছে অ্যাড স্ট্রিম ইউজ করার সময়?
Not necessarily not necessarily যে পাবলিক ইউজ করতে হবে বা প্রাইভেট, এরকম কোনো লিমিটেশনস নাই, বাট
gateway to install
yes, so using the gateways is just a better security practice, because public subnet, it's available, the traffic is available through public, so you can access it from anywhere. So it just makes it a little bit vulnerable, because it is open, that's all. So whereas it is a better practice that, so NAT gateway, so the gateways that I was talking about, it's called NAT gateway. That's that's one of the features for VPC, and it fully managed. So the traffic incoming, outgoing, that is something you define, but the NAT gateway, scaling up or scaling down or maintaining that part, the physical part of it, excuse me, that's all managed by AWS. So the architecture that usually goes is, so instead of, well, I was saying that you should have at least two different, in workspace, you should have two different subnets in two different availability zones. So, but the good practice architecture that will go is it's actually going to be two for each availability zones. So what will happen is একটা থাকবে হচ্ছে প্রাইভেট, যেটাতে আর কি ওয়ার্কস্পেসটা ডিপ্লয়েড থাকবে, আর ওই প্রাইভেটের যত ইন্টারনেট কমিউনিকেশন করতে হবে, that will be done through the NAT gateway. So the NAT gateway sits on a public subnet, but that controls all the incoming traffic. So if anyone is able to breach in to the public subnet, they have nothing else to do because there is nothing there. NAT gateway, it doesn't store any of the the user session or any of the user information. It's just a gateway that just controls the traffic. So that's just a practice of adding a layer of security to make sure that if there is a breach, they don't have access to anything else, because the way you're in private subnet, the way you're setting is, so you're going to have with access control lists and security groups that we talked about. So these are firewalls. So what that means is you can granulate where do you want to accept the traffic from. So what you will do is private subnet, all of those workspace instances যেগুলো spin up হচ্ছে, they will only accept traffic from a particular NAT gateway. That's it. So it's not accepting traffic from anyone else. There is no other ports open, so there's no way to attack. That's all. So that's the idea. Does that make sense? Yeah, sure. Okay. So last thing, so Amazon Connect. It's a very new service. So this is a fully managed, cloud-based, self-service call center that you can get up and running literally within 10 minutes. So managing you can have a fully fledged call center that's available to you. You can create agents, supervisors, managers. They can work from home, of course. They can, you can set up a soft phone, like with your phone or with your laptop, with a headphone, or if they prefer to, use their own phone, there's capabilities to forward the phone calls that are coming and all of that. To give you a little bit of more perspective, so it is fully cloud-based. So the contact center that you create, it's an omni-channel customer experience. So there's several features that helps to have, added feature that you can use to have a very dynamic call center. Because so first of all, as I mentioned, that you can utilize soft phone with your laptop or your own. If you have a mobile phone, যদি personal বাসায় phone থাকে, they can utilize that if they want. There are a very easy way to maintain the call. You can create what we call a skill-based routing, meaning that you can create separate groups and add different skills to it, meaning that if there's a call comes in, so for example, like in a call center, you'll have press 1 for this particular type of workload, press 2 for this particular kaj, press 3 for something else. So those are different skills. So you can select which skills they will have and then route the call accordingly. The monitoring part is definitely there. How the calls are getting, who is attending the call, how are they doing it. If you want to turn on call recording, you can set that up. You can have see that when users are getting logged in, when they're logging out, what is their average call time, all of that information. Not only that, so Connect is fully integrated with our so AWS's image, not image, I'm sorry, voice comprehension, so voice analysis AI model. So meaning that this is a feature that you can turn on, যেখানে users, if the users call in, and you can have their voice, the talks, and everything analyzed for in the future. So if the experience was positive, if the experience was negative, কথার 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 style, কথার wording, those are some signals that you can pick up on to do future future analysis. That if you want to do, you can do not only voice, you can also do chatting. You can if you need to reach out a customer, things like that, that's something you can do as well. Toll-free numbers, that's something you can turn on, and all of that, these are there's same thing, there's no upfront cost, it's pay as you go. So you can start a small pilot like call center in the beginning, see how it works, and then go from there, and you're paying only for what you're using. There doesn't need to be any physical any physical appliances that needs to be involved in this entire setup of call center. And we have some customers that are already using it. So some of them you can see, so American Red Cross, they're using it during this during the COVID-19 situation for a while. It's they need to have call centers up and running in different part of the world and fast. So তাদের জন্য this has been very helpful. We also have direct interaction, and then answers connect. These are some of our customers that are taking usage of or taking the advantage of AWS Connect at the moment. To any questions on Connect?
I guess one question was for AppStream, Workspace. So I already answered that. A question টা ছিল হচ্ছে Workspace as you said that এটা হচ্ছে closest region হচ্ছে Tokyo. হ্যাঁ, so closest region Tokyo ছাড়াও আমার মনে হয় আমি যেটা সাইটে দেখলাম যে Singapore is also there. So আমাদের lot of the infrastructure বাংলাদেশের আমরা হোস্ট করেছি সিঙ্গাপুরে, almost 97 to 98, except 1 or 2 is Mumbai regions, because Singapore latency ta it's very good, because Singapore hoye then it goes via to Mumbai. So Sharif Rehmaner question ta chilo je latency niye kono jhamela hobe kina if it is on the Tokyo regions. So Tokyo theke aro kachakachi ashe Singapore, and আমি একটা স্ক্রিনও শেয়ার করলাম, AppStream, Workspace সবকিছুই হচ্ছে সিঙ্গাপুর রিজনে আছে, এশিয়া প্যাসিফিকে। So it's much easier because আমরা বড় বড় workloads like SAP এর মতো আমরা workloads ও চালাচ্ছি হচ্ছে সিঙ্গাপুরে। So I guess probably that's answer the question probably, but Tariq, you can add more questions, more answers later on, or now what you feel like.
No, I'm Nashid bhai, I think you answered it pretty well. So yeah, so Bangladesh থেকে if Singapore is closer, and if it's better, if your pinging value is better on that one, by all means go for it. Yeah, so both of those are both of the services that has been out for a couple of years back home. So it's pretty matured right now, because usually the way it works is it gets started in one region. Most cases, Northern Virginia region at the first start, and then it starts moving into different regions. But yeah, both of those services are pretty matured right now. So this has been out for at least 3-4 years. So you guys should be good to go on that case. And then as far as the latency part of it, so AppStream, I don't remember Workspace protocol, but AppStream, I know AppStream uses it's called protocol is called NICE DCV. So it's just a protocol for faster responses during the streaming, specifically for streaming. So this is a protocol that's used for any kind of streaming to do in a low bandwidth in a proper way. So the protocol helps you with breaking down this pixelation, or the pixels that are delivered, and the data IOPS. So that's that detail. I can include that if we do a follow-up. But that protocol is used for AppStream to maintain a low latency. Cool. I think so. Pretty much that's all I had. So thank you everyone for joining. This has been fun. So let me know if there's any questions. Please feel free. Our echo doesn't have to be now. So our email and our LinkedIn profile I can add kore diyechi. Any questions anytime, feel free to reach out to me. So, but I'm gonna open the floor এখন যে কোনো কোয়েশ্চেনের জন্য.
কারো যদি কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন থাকে, please unmute the mic and ask the question. Shubroto bhai, if you're still there, Ashraful, Mansurul. Anisur. Saleh bhai still there? So আমার একটা Egyptian boss ছিল, so বলতো যে no news is a good news, so no question it's a good session, probably you answer all the questions, but তারপরেও যদি কারো কোনো question থাকে please drop by. Asanul Habib.
No, I think that's cool. As I mentioned, like কোনো question let me know পরবর্তীতে যদি থাকে, but otherwise okay, well that's all I had.
All right, thank you very much, Tariq, and this is our second webinar with you, and we hope to continue soon after Eid, probably as a follow-up or any topic which is sounds good, because our last topic করেছিলাম হচ্ছে best practice on AWS. So ওটা basically more focus on the customer who is using the workloads on AWS for couple of months, years, or willing to চাই যে আমরা ওয়ার্কলোড গুলা AWS এ রান করাবো, তো কি বেস্ট প্র্যাকটিস হয়, বিকজ এটা আমরা অনেকগুলো কাস্টমারের কাছ থেকে বুঝি যে লোড ব্যালেন্সার কিভাবে কনফিগার করতে হবে, ওয়াইফ এন্ড এভরিথিং আদার্স। সো এখন আমরা এটা যেহেতু লকডাউন সিচুয়েশনে আছি আমরা, এন্ড হোম অফিস, কোভিড-19, সো ওয়ার্ক স্পেস, অ্যাপস্ট্রিম বা VDI সলিউশন গুলো মাচ হেল্পফুল। সো আপনাদের আমরা এজ এ পার্টনার উইথ AWS, আমরা ক্লাউড সার্ভিস অলরেডি প্রোভাইড করছি ফর লাস্ট 2 years, and I've been working with AWS for the last 4 years. So feel free to drop by any questions you have. You have Tariq email address, আমার email address আছে. So as a local partner, we can help you on with the help of Tariq and AWS আপনাদের প্রবলেম গুলোকে সলভ করা। So এই ওয়েবিনার গুলোর কারণ হচ্ছে যে to transfer the knowledge. It's a free webinar to transfer your knowledge plus helping you to solve your problems. So আমাদেরকে জানিয়ে any question later on, or any area where we can help you to overcome your problems. So I hope যদি কারো কোনো question না থাকে, thank you very much, because it's already 11:30 রাতে সেরিও আছে। So thanks a lot, Tariq, for joining all the way from Amazon US, and we hope to continue for the next sessions on board. And thank you everyone for joining. It's a full house, people got registered very good, and আমরা এই ভিডিওটা হয়তো শেয়ার করব so that we can keep this momentum ongoing. Thanks everyone, thanks Tariq, and I guess we can conclude this webinar.
Okay, yeah, pleasure. Take care everyone.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Shako.